Have you ever had a fight with someone you love? A real one. The kind where the air crackles and voices get a little too sharp. And in the strange, fragile quiet that follows, after the apologies and the tears, have you ever felt, paradoxically, closer than you were before? As if the storm didn't break you apart, but washed the dust off your connection, leaving you both standing and more honest, more solid ground. If you know that feeling, then you already know the secret of one of the most misunderstood, most powerful energies in the human experience, an energy we're going to explore together today. For centuries, we've used languages to describe our world, the language of mathematics to describe the cosmos, the language of music to describe the soul. Today, I want to share with you a different kind of language. It's called human design, and it's a language for the invisible currents of energy that shape who we are, the themes of our human experience. It's a system of rigid box. It's not a system of rigid boxes or predictive fortunes. Think of it as a beautifully intricate map of your own unique inner landscape. A map that doesn't tell you who you must be, but gives you the words to understand the energies you were born to navigate. On this map, there are 64 landmarks, or gates, is what they call them. Today, we are visiting just one, Gate 6. In the ancient Chinese text, the I Ching, from which human design draws its roots, this energy is called conflict. And right away, we tense up. Conflict. It's what we try to avoid, isn't it? It's what breaks relationships, starts wars, fills our headlines with tragedy. Modern culture teaches us to seek comfort, to smooth things over, to find a frictionless experience. But what if I told you that this energy of what they call conflict, this gate 6, is also called the gate of friction, and that friction is in fact the law that the law that growth cannot exist without. What if I told you this energy is a fundamental design component of progress and the very energy required for producing life itself? This is the beautiful paradox of Gate 6. It holds the tension between what's called conflict and peace, between setting a boundary and opening a door, between the sting of hard truth and the intimacy that truth makes possible. It is ultimately the Peacemaker's gate. And every single person in this room, whether you know this language or not, has a relationship with this energy. We all have a peacemaker within us, waiting to be awakened. To understand any energy, any theme of the human experience, we have to see it not as a flat trait, but as a set of inner sliders, like on a soundboard. First, there's intensity. How loud does this energy play in your life? Is it a quiet tension or a full-blown argument? Second, frequency. How often does it show up? Are you navigating disagreements daily or maybe just once a year? And most importantly, the third slider, quality. This is the key. Is the energy expressing itself in a healthy, connecting way or an unhealthy, destructive way? We can think of quality on a spectrum. At its lowest frequency, at its lowest quality, it's in its shadow. Gate 6 is pure, raw conflict in the shadow. This is the spirit of contention, unhealthy energy. The spirit of contention is what the scriptures warn us against. It's anger, blame, pride. It's conflict for conflict's sake, and it leaves only wreckage. But as we raise the quality, the energy transforms into the gift of Gate 6, diplomacy. This is where friction becomes a tool. It's the courage to have the hard conversation, but with respect. It's the art of listening, of seeking to understand before being understood. It's the wisdom to know when to speak and when to wait. And in its highest expression, the most sublime quality, the energy of conflict miraculously becomes its opposite: peace. This isn't the absence of conflict, it's a profound inner state that can resolve conflict by its mere presence. It's the peace that passeth all understanding. So the question is not if you have conflict in your life. The question is, where are your sliders set? And how can we learn to consciously adjust them, especially that quality slider, moving from contention to diplomacy and from diplomacy toward lasting peace? To do that, we have to understand where the gate lives in our energetic body, in our blueprint. Gate 6 is located in the emotional center, what is often called the solar plexus. This is the center of feelings, moods, and sensitivities, and it operates in waves. An emotional wave is not a rational thing. It's a chemical, biological reality that moves through us. It rises with hope or anger. It falls with disappointment or calm. This is why when you're in the heat of a Gate 6 moment, the worst thing you can do is to make a permanent decision based on a temporary feeling. Your emotional clarity is at the bottom of the wave, not in the crashing surf. Gate 6 teaches us the sacred power of timing. It asks us to honor the wave, to give ourselves space to feel without reacting, to sleep on it. How many relationships could have been saved if we simply learned to say, I feel a storm of emotion right now. I love you, and because I love you, I'm not going to speak until the waters are calm. That's Gate 6 beginning to act with wisdom. It becomes the guardian at the door of your heart. Its job is to discern who and what to let in. It's our internal gatekeeper of intimacy. And like any good gatekeeper, it has a partner. Gate 6 is an emotional center, reaches down to the sacral, our primal center of life force and sexuality, to connect with its perfect partner, Gate 59, the gate of intimacy. Together, they form the channel of what's called the channel of mating, a design for intimacy. This channel is a dance. It's one of the most powerful forces in our humanity. Gate 59 is the energy that wants to break down barriers. It's the drive to connect, to merge, to create. It says, let's get closer. It's the key. Gate 6 is the energy that tests the barrier. It's the lock. It says, are you safe? Is the timing right? What are the terms of this connection? When these two energies meet, whether within one person or between two people, they create what we call chemistry. It's a magnetic pull. The 59 gate is drawn to get past the 6's defense, and the 6 is intrigued by the 59's warmth, but remains cautious. This dance, this push and pull, is the energetic template for courtship, for bonding, for creating a family. In a healthy expression, the 59 gate is patient, and the 6 learns to trust. The key waits for the lock to feel ready. When the gate finally opens, it's not forced. It's a mutual surrender. The result is a deep, resilient intimacy. But in an unhealthy expression, the gate 59 energy pushes too hard, disrespecting the boundary, and gate 6, feeling its boundary violated, does what it's designed to do. It generates conflict as a defense mechanism. It slams the gate shut. This is the source of so much pain in relationships, the pursuer-distancer dynamic. One partner chases, the other retreats, both feeling misunderstood. The healing comes when both learn to honor the dance, to value both the drive for connection and the need for emotional safety. Think about your own relationships. Where have you been the key, perhaps too eager? Where have you been the lock, perhaps too guarded? Seeing it as a dance rather than a battle changes everything. It's not about winning. It's about finding the rhythm together. This dance is not just romantic. It plays out in our families. A child with gate 6 energy might be the one who instinctively knows when there's tension between their parents. They are the family's emotional barometer. In a team at work, the person with gate 6 is the one who senses that a brewing conflict will sabotage the project if it's not addressed. They are the ones with the courage to say, "Hold on, I think we have an elephant in the room and we need to talk about it." But we live in a world that fears this, a world that often mistakes niceness for kindness. The great writer C.S. Lewis noted that true love is more stern and splendid than mere kindness. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is to introduce friction, to tell them a hard truth, to confront a destructive behavior, not to hurt them, but because you care too much to watch them stay stuck. This is gate 6 acting out of love. It's the friction that polishes a soul. Let me share a poem by a 13th century mystic named Rumi. He writes, quote, "Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right-doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in the grass, the world is too full to talk about." That field, that is the potential of gate 6. It's the place we arrive after we've moved through the fiction of our judgments, our rightness and wrongness. But to get to the field, we have to be willing to walk through the gate. So how do we get better at walking through the gate? How do we raise the quality of this energy in our lives? This is where we must look at both nature and nurture. Our design, our nature might give us a tendency. Maybe our gate 6 intensity slider is naturally high. You have a fiery emotional nature. Maybe it's low. You're naturally reserved. That's the instrument you were given. But your nurture, your upbringing, your experiences, your choices teach you how to play that instrument. If you grew up in a home where conflict was explosive and dangerous, you may have learned to suppress your feelings entirely, to be a professional peacemaker who abandons their own needs. Your gate 6 is there, but it's playing on mute, and the resentment is building. If you grew up where winning arguments was everything, you may have learned to use conflict as a weapon. The psychologist Jordan Peterson speaks forcefully about the danger of unspoken resentment. He says it's a moral poison. When you feel it, it's a sign that a boundary has been crossed, and you have a moral obligation to articulate it, not with rage, but with truth. He says, quote, "So what you mean, so you can say what you mean, so you can find out what you mean." This is a call to gate 6. Speak the friction. Bring it into light, because it is the light where it can be healed. The alternative is a peace built on shaky ground of silent bitterness, and that is not peace at all. The beautiful truth is, you are not a prisoner of your nurture. You can choose to learn a new way to play your instrument. You can choose to step into that field Rumi speaks of. This begins when we start treating the different parts of ourselves not as enemies at war, but as a council of voices. Imagine it. Your fear has a seat at the table. Your ambition has a seat. Your logic has a seat. And your gate 6, your emotional guardian, has an honored seat. When you feel that knot of conflict in your stomach, instead of reacting, you can turn inward and ask, "Counsel, what is happening here? Gate 6, what are you trying to protect?" By giving the fearful part of you a voice, you validate it, and often that's all it needs to calm down. It no longer has to scream to be heard. Then the other voices can chime in. Your wisdom can say, I understand the fear, but what is the most loving action we can take? Your courage can say, we can handle this. And who chairs the council? Who is the ultimate guide for integrating all these voices into a harmonious whole? For me, well, for sure there is a head of your inner council. And that is a beautiful thing. However, there is one higher truth. For many traditions, the answer points to a divine pattern, an archetype of perfect integrated humanity. We find our way to align our inner counsel with God's understanding. In my tradition, we try to follow the counsel and echo the actions of the person of Jesus Christ. Think about it. Here is a being called the Prince of Peace, whose very presence brought such a sword of truth that it cleaved history in two. He confronted corrupt authority in the temple with righteous fire. He spoke hard truths to his beloved disciples. He did not shy away from the friction necessary for growth. Yet when faced with personal betrayal, accusation, and unimaginable suffering, he responded with silence, with forgiveness, with love. He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He held the ultimate paradox. He could be a sword of truth and an ocean of peace. How? Because his actions were never driven by ego or fear or the need to be right. They were driven by a perfect unconditional love. He shows us what it looks like when Gate 6 is lived at its highest possible expression. It's the power to end conflict unilaterally, because love is more powerful than any weapon. His life teaches us that the path to peace isn't about being conflict averse. It's about being love driven. When you are in a conflict and you don't know what to do, you can ask a simple question. What would love do right now? Sometimes love would speak a firm boundary. Sometimes love would listen patiently. Sometimes love would apologize, even if it wasn't entirely your fault. And sometimes love would simply be quiet and radiate peace, trusting that guidance that is the path of the peacemaker. And this points us to something beautiful. So many people today are searching. They are exploring systems like human design because they feel a spiritual hunger, a desire for a language that makes sense of their inner world. Perhaps because that language they were given in their youth felt hollow or hurtful. And what they find here is the deep structure of these energies are echoes of eternal truths. They find that the path to resolving conflict is through diplomacy and empathy, that the highest state is peace. They are discovering in a new language the very principles taught by those great spiritual masters for millennia. This isn't a replacement for God. For many, it can be a bridge back, a way to see the divine pattern is woven into the very fabric of our design. This journey from the turmoil of conflict to the quiet field of peace is not easy. It is the work of a lifetime. It's the refiner's fire. And so I'm going to share a poem for that journey, for the part of you that stands at the gate. The heart has a gatekeeper, wary and old, who remembers the stories of trust that was sold. It flinches at echoes of battles long past and builds up the walls meant to make the peace last. But a peace made of stone is a fortress of one, where no light can enter, no new song is sung. And love comes not with a battering ram, but with a soft whisper saying, Here I am. I know you are frightened, I know you are sore, but the love that you seek is outside of this door. So just turn the lock, you don't have to shove. I will not enter with anything less than pure love. And the gatekeeper, trembling, takes a small breath and chooses a new life, defeating its death. It cracks open the door to a sunlight and grace and finds in the other its own sacred face. The greatest conflicts we face are not with people in front of us. They are with the unwounded parts of ourselves and the wounded. The journey of Gate 6 is the journey of healing that inner divide. It is the journey of teaching our inner gatekeeper that it is safe to trust, safe to open, safe to love. So I invite you here today to leave here as a loving student of your own conflicts. When friction arises, don't run from it. Get curious. Turn your gaze inward. Ask, what is this really about? What am I afraid of? What do I truly need? Where are my sliders set? And can I consciously choose to dial up the quality? Can I choose diplomacy over defensiveness? Can I choose love over the need to be right? Start small. The next time you feel that heat rising in a conversation, just pause, breathe. That breath is a revolution. It is the space you reclaim where you reclaim your power. You shift from a reactor to a creator of peace. Because the world doesn't need more people who are right. It needs more people who are reconciled. It needs more people who know how to stand in the fire of disagreement without getting burned, and who can guide others to that safe space. It needs more peacemakers. The potential for that peace is not out there somewhere. It's right here, in you, in your heart. It is woven into your very design. It is your birthright. Go claim it. And with that, thank you and good night.